Someone said the reason why Julius Malema hasn't been speaking is because this was planned by him and Umsholos. That's why they're T. To plan a coup. I'm wondering what a coup would look like in South Africa. Would it be straightforward, as we always see in countries, rebels, Malema's leading? Or are Zuma and Malema potentially smarter? Which means they're going to play it almost like whites and make it seem like we weren't involved. Is Zuma in prison currently? Do we know?
Mfethu. Do we know, Mfethu?
You know what I mean?
Mfethu.
What happens if he comes out?
What happens if they poison him in prison?
What happens if he dies? Someone asked Uguti if this is what's happening with Zuma being in jail. What happens if he comes out and he actually gets found guilty for fraud and what? What will happen to the country then? If this was a spark, then maybe that will really... There are so many people that have been eyeing this country because, like I said, Zuma, through his chess moves, it's like wind blowing under a chick's dress. Uboni G-string. You're like, how? Malengaga.
Yeah.
How he has called me? We don't know these things. And the only way, outside of reports, the only way for us to know them is if you poke the bear.
Yeah.
There's a guy called Jonathan Bear, by the way, that most people don't know about. He's one of the wealthiest, if not the wealthiest, South African. Jonathan Bear, Jewish guy. He owns property, South African, across the world. He's funded a lot of our favorite property billionaires.
Yeah, but
you look at what's happened in Maboneng with perpetuity. You look at a Jewish guy in Santon, Mark Watchersberger, or whatever his surname is, Capital Hotel. When you dig deep, and luckily some of us have some of this privileged information, you realize that they were bankrolled by that guy. There's no picture of him on the internet. You can Google him, you won't find anything. You won't find anything. He's like a ghost. A guy who had disappeared for the longest time was a guy called Eric Sampson. I think he passed away this year. One of big Mandela backers, dollar billionaire, Max Steel. And Max Steel, I think, was making $70 billion a year. Unlisted, unknown, Parktown boys, bankrolling the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund. I think every year he'd just come in and donate R1 million just for fun. You know, there's big boys that are hidden. And I've heard apparently some of our farmers, you mentioned farming when you mentioned Perito. Apparently there's 100 farmers that supply 70% of our food in this country. There's guys we don't know. There's guys in the shadows. You know, Ivan Klossenberg became big when Glencoe listed. Before Glencoe listed and before Eskom, people didn't know. People didn't know the Mia family. We're not even asking questions. They own 3,000 hectares of the land that Waterfall City sits on. You know what I mean? So, I'm not unique. I'm not a billionaire. I'm not gunning to be president. I'm just a guy who Googles and watches YouTube and shit. So I'm trying to imagine the billionaires and how much intel do they have? How much intel does Johan Rupert have, such that when I mention some of these things, he laughs because he's like, I know all the things he speak about, but he doesn't know some of the things I know. Like who's behind Mozambique? Who's behind whatever? We're still trying to unearth the CR17 bank statements. Just fuck up. Even if they get exposed, who the fuck cares anymore? And I'm asking, if we're not positioning ourselves, if we're not saying, guys, fuck capitalism, go to the villages and farm, can we not maybe discuss the potential angles of people that stand to gain and what country we're kind of moving into from here on? And if that's going to happen, the taxi industry, one of the things that came out, they have more vehicles than the police. They probably have more firepower than the police. We've obviously seen the Indians and the whites that they actually have arms in their neighborhoods.
They don't play. Yes.
We actually are not aware of this country. And again, like what Zuma did with showing us big booty by poking the bear. This was that. COVID showed us something. This is showing us something. And those of us who think we're intelligent, if we're going to get distracted by the media and looting and Ubanbani said, and we're going to miss the whole fucking thing again. And we'll wake up later and I think we need to do something about it. Someone said the reason why Julius Malema hasn't been speaking is because this was planned by him and Umsholos. That's why they're T. To plan a coup. And now in the media, there's a Kaangaz no Mutulani Dlomo or whatever, who was apparently a spy for Zuma, who they're saying is the prime suspect behind some of the stuff. You know, I'm wondering how organized some of the work that's been done is. I'm wondering what a coup would look like in South Africa. Would it be straightforward, as we always see in countries, rebels, Malema's leading, or are Zuma and Malema potentially smarter, which means they're going to play it almost like whites and make it seem like we weren't involved? One of the other things I found myself wondering is, if we're going to say Cyril and the Western world and capitalism, they wanted these lockdowns with COVID to destroy certain small businesses, to consolidate monopolies in the big businesses. Why are we not looking to them as suspects of... It would explain why intelligence and why government has been so slow. In Leave It, we actually wanted to burn somewhat. Some of the maybe white Indian businesses are like, look, we want to claim insurance. And we do want these black people, make sure they also loot from their own and destroy their own.
So it doesn't make it seem like,
we know fundamentally we'll be okay. And this is going to fuck them up so much more than us. Tina, we're going to be fine. And even in the suburbs, we're fine. Make sure that most of the work is happening in Makas. Because we actually want to oppress them even more. Because a lot of people are surprised at how slow Cyril and government are to act. One of the radio DJs was like, these guys have got supposedly sophisticated intelligent agencies, but they seem to be reacting later than even people in neighborhoods. Why? Basic questions. About Cyril are like moving really slow. Cyril still refuses to take questions, whether it's COVID or this. We don't really know what our intelligence is doing. We've been exposed now. It's clear. We don't have enough cops. Someone was asking in a group today, are these the soldiers that if we go to war, we're trusting, you know?
I was cop and donor.
There's something, look, I'll say this. I'd like to think some of the guys that run the taxi industry are very intelligent people. I'd like to think some of the guys that run the drug lords in Cape Town are very intelligent people. Some of the guys that run drugs in Johannesburg are very intelligent people. They watch the same mafia movies we watch. They watch the same CIA, Jason Bourne type movies. They watch the same documentaries we watch, economic hitmen and what. They might not be involved in a lot of things, but they're thinking, how do we position ourselves? How do we exploit? Because again, you talk about three types of looters, and some of these guys might be like, look, when the country burns to shit, let's either supply or let's give these guys drugs because they're going to be so fucked. Let's give these guys this. Let's come up with alternative education. Let's do... Again, you won't realize it, but things will have shifted and we'll have never seen until it's too late. By the time you look up, all of us are studying Mandarin. You're like, how?
Sure.
All of a sudden, someone was saying they drove past certain spas, like Sasibo Spa, they become other brands. Whose brands? How? When? Who funded it? The Pakistanis are quiet. Someone was even asking, are they actually looting the spaza shops this time, or they quiet? What are they up to? Because again, we look at things at surface level, and if we only listen to the media, could this potentially be a coup or the start of a coup where they're testing? Because it's arguable that Zuma was flexing and trying to transform the SOEs. He was trying to show us something that's possible that we'd never seen before. We didn't know about evergreen contracts and no Glencore. So he was like, I just want to show you guys something before I die. I want to show you guys what's at stake. And with this happening now, potentially, again, it's a conspiracy theory. Could Malema and Zuma be like, we want to show you guys what a potentially sophisticated coup looks like. And if it's not them, is it possible that the same white, intelligent people that run us are the ones saying, let them eat each other because that's what we want? Because that's what's happened with drugs in America. Most of the money was being made by white people saying, push crack cocaine in the neighborhoods and make it seem like blacks are fucking each other up. But it's not, it's actually us. Give them weapons, let them kill each other, let them hurt each other, it's fine. And the day we have to gun them down or whatever, we'll be like, hey, we tried.
Reason. Yeah.
These guys were fucking destroying the economy.